I'm sure lots of your non-Catholic friends have questions for you these days. He started off as an auxiliary bishop in Buenos Aires, eventually became Archbishop of Buenos Aires, and then Supreme Pontiff, Bishop of Rome, servant of the servants of God. What a blessing it was for him to die on Easter Monday. And I mean that. It was a blessing to the church. It gives us insight into who Pope Francis was. He probably knew. He probably felt it in his body. And he said, I want to be with my people. One last time. One last Easter. And what's more is in our first reading from Acts of the Apostles, we hear a very important name. Peter. He's mentioned in the gospel. The first pope. And what did we hear? After Pentecost, after the apostles start preaching, after their fear is alleviated and they boldly profess Christ as Lord, that he has been resurrected from the dead, that he is the Son of God, people start to believe. And through their preaching and their miracle working, people are put so much faith in these men that they merely want Peter's shadow to touch them. What bold and almost inexplicable faith. And yet it is the same faith that we are called to have. As those early converts 2,000 years ago believed. Because of Peter's relationship to the Lord, Peter has power. Peter has authority. And if I put my hope, my faith in that authority, it can change my life for the better. Brothers and sisters, the first pope clearly believed that, as did the 266th pope. Francis used his office year after year, day after day, to reach out to the marginalized, to help the broken and the poor, to forgive sins and try his best to heal the divisions in our broken world. And we see that. We have seen, especially yesterday during the funeral, how important the papal office is. All the pomp and circumstance, all the tradition, all the rites, all the liturgies. It has nothing to do with Jorge Bergoglio. It has everything to do with the office he spent the final 12 years of his life serving. That the responsibility, the duty, and the authority of the Supreme Pontiff should be honored with the utmost pomp and circumstance. Not because Francis is important, not because Peter is important, but because of what we learned in our second reading. This is Revelation chapter 1. This is the beginning. And this part's pretty straightforward, right? John's a prisoner. The same John who wrote the gospel we heard. The same John who was a teenager when he met Jesus. Now in his late 70s, early 80s, is visited by the Lord to put to page the final revelation of Christ. The revelation that subsumes all other revelations and brings them into one. When God will complete his act of creation once and for all. And what are Jesus' words to his friend? His friend, John. Do not be afraid. I am the beginning and the end. I have life. I was once dead, but now I live forever and ever. And I hold the keys to death and the netherworld. Essentially, brothers and sisters, Jesus Christ is beginning his final revelation to his friend by saying, I am everything. Everything belongs to me. You know, watching the funeral proceedings yesterday, a lot of people there. It was beautiful. They estimated maybe 250,000 people went to Rome yesterday to see the funeral. Some of them just to get a glimpse of Francis's coffin as it passed by for a few moments as it was taken from St. Peter's Basilica to Francis's final resting place at St. Mary Major Basilica. He devoted his life to preaching the gospel and revealing what Christ has revealed to his friends. All the pomp and circumstance, all the dignitaries that came to his funeral, all the tradition, all the beauty means nothing if we lose sight of what Francis lived for. He who is everything. Jesus Christ. Returning to our gospel, the second half is interesting because Thomas returns, what did it say? A week later. That is, today. How merciful it was for the Lord, who has no obligation to prove to Thomas he's alive. Jesus can do what he wants. And yet goes out of his way to make sure Thomas is not unbelieving, but believes. Jesus did all of these things and more in the presence of his disciples that are not written in this book. But these are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God. And through this belief, you may have life in his name. A pope's life, a priest's life, a Christian's life is devoted to the same thing that Pope Francis devoted his whole life to. That you may have believed, and through this belief may have life eternal. That is the only thing we all should be focusing on. Profess faith, and through our profession, draw others into this family.